What's up YouTube, it's Shivansh here. So if you guys have been following my channel, then you must remember that back in December 2021, I made a video about why I don't own a car in Canada, even though I had been in Canada for over 8 years at that point. And at the end of that video, I also mentioned that I'll be buying a car in Canada very soon. And I'm happy to announce that that day is finally here. Yes, after spending 9 years in Canada, first as an international student, then working full-time on a work permit, and then as a permanent resident, I finally bought my first car in Canada. And in this video, I'll tell you everything about which exact car did I buy, how did I decide to buy a car now, or why did it make sense to buy a car at this point in time? Did I buy a used car or a brand new car, and how did I decide which car to buy? And I will also tell you where did I buy this car from, because my car buying experience was pretty unique and interesting, and I'm sure you guys have never seen such a thing before. I'll also share some clips at the end of this video, so make sure to watch this video till the very end. And if you guys like this content, then make sure to give a big thumbs up and also subscribe to my channel, because your support is extremely important for the growth of this channel and it will help me reach out to more number of people. So with that being said, let's start this video. So what exactly changed and why did I decide to buy a car now? So if you remember from my previous video where I talked about why I did not buy a car in Canada, I said that the main reason was that I did not really need to buy a car at that point in time. Now it might sound crazy that I did not feel the need to buy a car in Canada for so many years, but that is actually the truth, and I was able to manage by strategically choosing my place of accommodation closer to my office or my workplace. And because of that, it was actually convenient and also affordable just to use public transportation to get to my office and get back home. And the second biggest reason is that in my initial years of working full-time in Canada, I wanted to save as much money as possible, because if you follow me on Instagram, you probably already know that I love to invest in stocks in US, Canada, and also in India. And in my initial years of working, I wanted to save as much money as possible and divert all those savings towards buying good quality companies and just holding them for the long term. And that's why I did not buy a car in Canada for the longest time, because as you know, buying a car in Canada is a big expense. And if I were to buy a car at that point in time, I just thought that I would be left with less amount of money every single month to invest in stocks. And I just did not want to be in that kind of a situation. But things actually changed in September, October of 2022, and I had to make this big decision of buying my first car in Canada. So between September and November of 2022, I had some family visit me in Canada. Some were actually visiting me for the very first time, so I had to take them around, do some sightseeing, go to Niagara and explore just the different parts of GTA and explore the different types of food that we have here. And then some were coming to Canada as an international student for the post-graduation. So in that case, I had to help them with accommodation and just help them settle down in Canada. So because of all this, I realized that it would be a lot cheaper and a lot more convenient if I just had my own car in Canada, so that I could just take everybody around easily. And if I just had to rely on public transportation in the last few months, then it would have been very complex and also very expensive, and we would not have been able to explore so many places around GTA in the last few months. And more than any of this, the biggest reason why I decided to buy a car was that it was just high time now. I had spent so many years in Canada without owning a car, and now it was just becoming too inconvenient, restrictive, and also time consuming to get from one place to another. And I just thought that it was the right time for me to buy a car now. So the next thing for me was how to decide whether to buy a brand new car or to go with a used car. Now this was a huge decision for me, because buying a car was going to be my biggest one-time purchase. Actually no, it was going to be my second biggest purchase ever, but still it was a big deal for me, and I actually struggled quite a bit when deciding whether to buy a brand new car or just buy a used car for now. And the reason for this is that there is no one answer for everyone. It really depends on your personal situation, so the answer can be different for different people. Eventually I had to create this complex Excel sheet so that I could compare the cost of ownership of a brand new car versus a used car, and then I tried to figure out the future value of the car in both these scenarios and see which would be a better option for me if I decide to sell the car in 2 years, 3 years, or even 5 years. And making this sheet actually gave me a pretty good idea about which one would be a better financial decision for me, at least at this point in time. And then there were some other factors as well that I had to consider. For example, I had to ask questions like, is this going to be my dream car, or is this something temporary that I would just use for a couple of years or so? And I did not want to lose too much money if I were to sell this car in the next couple of years. And because cars are depreciating assets which lose a lot of their money or majority of their money in the first few years, so in that case I thought that it would be probably better if I were to go with a used car as compared to a brand new car, because if I were to buy a brand new car, then most of its value would be lost in the first few years and I would probably have to sell it at a big loss. If I were to sell it in the next few few years or after owning it only for a short amount of time. The second thing is that I wanted a car urgently because, as I said earlier, my family was about to visit me, so I wanted a car ASAP. And if I were to buy a brand new car, I had to wait for a few weeks or even a few months because of the global semiconductor chip shortage, and I just could not afford to wait for that long. And another thing is that when you buy a brand new car, mostly you take out a loan for that car, and I did not want to take a loan at this point in time because let's say in the near future or in the next 1 to 2 years, if I decide to buy a house in Canada, then in that case my total mortgage amount that I'll be approved for buying that house will be significantly reduced by just having a mortgage payment of, let's say, $500 per month. And I did not want to be in a situation where I could not buy a house that I really wanted to just because I had taken a loan to buy an expensive car. So based on all these factors, I decided that it makes more financial sense for me to buy a used car at this point. And then after a few years, when I own a house in Canada and I know that I want to keep this car for a number of years, then in that case I can just go ahead and buy a brand new car that I really love. So now that a big decision was done, the next big thing was to decide which exact car to buy. Now for buying a car, I had some very specific requirements, and one of the big things was that I wanted a clean car. So no accidents, no collisions, no defects or no recalls. And to figure this out, I had to look at the Carfax report of every single car that I was considering, and that gave me a pretty good idea whether this car was right for me or not. Now Carfax is basically a trusted company in Canada that gives you a detailed report of the history of the vehicle that you're looking at. So it will tell you if there were any accidents or collisions on that vehicle, if there were any thefts, when was this vehicle last serviced, and a bunch of other things. So if you are also looking to buy a car in Canada, then I would highly recommend you to check the Carfax report so that you know what you are getting into and so that you can make an informed decision whether you want to buy this car or not. My other requirement was that the car should have only around 125,000 kilometers on it. The logic behind that was that I knew that my budget was around 15,000 Canadian dollars, and in this budget I knew that I would get a car model between 2013 and 2016, and let's say the average amount of car that a person drives in Canada is about 15,000 kilometers per year. So if I multiply that by 8 for an 8-year-old car, then it comes out to be around 120,000 kilometers in that 8-year span. So I thought that if I were to find a car that is 8 years old and has approximately 125,000 kilometers on it, then that would be a good purchase based on how old it is and how much it has been driven. Another big thing that I really wanted in a car was a Bluetooth enabled stereo so that whenever I'm traveling I can actually listen to some good music. And then I also had some optional things in my list, such as having a backup camera for safety, and then having a sunroof and potentially some heated seats because it gets so cold in Canada. And of course, to top it all, it had to fall in my budget, which, as I said before, was around 15,000 Canadian dollars. So based on all these requirements, I found a perfect car that fit in my budget, and that was a 2014 Chevrolet Cruze.
Some kind of butterfly. Baby, you give me midnight.
This is a 2014 Chevrolet Cruze. It is a 4-cylinder sedan equipped with the RS package, and if you guys want to watch a detailed video on this car and its features and how much it actually cost me to buy this car, then let me know in the comments below and I'll be happy to make a video for you. Alright, so now that you know which car did I buy, let's talk about the car buying process. So whenever somebody wants to buy a car, they either go to a showroom if they want to buy a brand new car, or if they want to buy a used car, then they go to a used car dealership. But I tried something completely different. I never had to visit a single car dealership in person or waste my time going from one city to another just to find the right car and bargain for the best deal. I was able to finalize my car, arrange for its number plate, registration and insurance, pay for it, and also get it delivered right at my doorstep, and all of this just by using my phone or my laptop, sitting at the comfort of my house. And I was able to do it all through this online platform called Canada Drives. Canada Drives is an online used car dealership where you can buy your car and get it delivered to your house, and all of this through their website. And this was the first time that I was using it, of course, because it was my first car, and the whole process was extremely smooth, and they were able to help me on a call or via text message whenever I had any questions. Now please note that this is not a paid promotion. I just used this website to buy my first car in Canada, and I really like this service, and that's why I'm sharing my experience with you. And if you guys are also looking to buy a car in Canada, then you can maybe give them a try, because I personally like their service quite a bit. And now I will also share some clips with you when this car got delivered to me, and this whole process was actually pretty unique.
Baby, you give me ice and fire.
Alright, so that's all I have for you guys for today. I hope you guys liked this video, and I hope now you know how I decided to buy this specific car. And I've been using this car for over 3 months now, and it's been a lifesaver, and I just love it. Please make sure to hit the like button if you haven't already, and also subscribe to my channel to watch more such videos about studying and working in Canada and just life in Canada in general. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.